Hey, what's up, guys? It's John, and today I'm going to be showing a game that I played with the black pieces. As you can tell, the board looks slightly different today, but I kind of like it. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be testing out some new styles. Sorry, if I sound tired. I just woke up from a 2-hour nap. So, White opened the game with d4, and I continued knight to f6 as usual. We have e3, e6, um, c4, and d5. This is kind of like the queen's gambit declined. And in this position, my opponent played c5. If you ever have this structure as white against this pawn, never push c5, even though it looks kind of okay because you're blocking off this bishop. It's really not, because I'll show. I played b6 and all my problems are solved. If I get this capture in, my center is strong, and if I don't get the capture in, well, now my dark square bishop is good. So he played c captures on b6, and I played a captures on b6, with the idea of now I can push c5 and then maybe get this capture in. My center will be very strong. He goes knight to f3. I have bishop to b7. Knight to c3, we're all just continuing development. And here I play c5. c5 with the idea of knight to c6 after. Obviously, he doesn't want to capture this to help me build my center. So he plays bishop to e2. I go knight to c6. We have castles and bishop to e7. Probably a little bit better here was bishop to d6. In the future, I'll see that bishop to d6 would have probably been a more useful diagonal. But to be honest, bishop to e7 is perfectly fine. We have h3. And in this position, after h3, I was thinking that I should push h5 and then play knight to g4. With the idea that if captures, then my rook will have an open file. I'll play king to f1, maybe even king to g8 after that, and I'll have a good game. I didn't want to castle this game. I thought 2 pawns would have been sufficient. So I went for h5, and then he went knight to e5. This kind of blocks my idea of knight to g4 because, well, now his bishop can just capture it. I played knight captures on e5. We have d captures on e5. And here the best move is knight to e4, just getting my knight out of trouble. And I saw this, but I thought what could be more interesting is if I pushed d4, and this is obviously a mistake. Feel free to try to find the best move for white. The best move for white here is obviously e captures on f6, with the idea that I capture, then my bishop gets captured. So I just lost a piece for nothing. Oops. After this captures, I would probably have to play bishop captures on f6, and then now he can just move his knight back to safety or something like this. So, yeah, congrats to you guys who found it, but my opponent didn't play d captures on e5. Instead, he went for d captures. Oh, sorry, he did go for d captures on e5, and after d4, he didn't go for e captures on f6. Sorry, I'm a little tired, guys. And here I went for, instead he went for e captures on d4, and this is obviously a mistake, because now my knight is free to move. Although I am down 1 pawn, I can probably win it back. So I went knight to d5, offering a trade of knights, and if accepted, it would help open up my diagonal for my light squared bishop. And here we have bishop b5 check. Bishop b5 check's okay, but I actually don't mind playing king to f1. He probably doesn't want me to castle, but he fails to realize that I don't even want to castle. So plan backfired, buddy. King to f1 with the idea of maybe king to f8 with the idea of maybe king to g8 in the future, because if this bishop ever moves, I'll have some dark square weaknesses. So he goes knight captures on d5, and I played queen captures on d5, threatening checkmate. Knight captures on d5 is a mistake, though. Probably better is just d captures on c5, just opening up this so that his bishop can eventually make his way to my king's diagonal. But after knight captures and queen captures, now I have this checkmate threat. He obviously sees it and goes f3. F3 is the best move, but like you've played f3 now, and your queen, my dark squared bishop is on the board. I'm actually about to activate it, and you're gonna have a tough time defending this because you have so many dark square weaknesses right now. So I play c captures on d4 with the idea of bishop to c5, and he plays a4. A4 because I actually have this sneaky attack on this light squared bishop. So if you play something like, I don't know, you just develop this bishop, maybe right there, you actually just lose this bishop. So he goes a4 to defend, and I play bishop to c5, just continuing my idea. This is not the strongest move. Better is just capturing this pawn because it's hanging. But I thought I could play bishop to c5 first, play threaten d3, and then capture this pawn. But the order technically does matter, because in this position, there are no useful discoveries with d3. So white's best move is actually rook to e1 or queen to e1. However, he missed this, and he played king to h1, just unpinning. And this gives me the opportunity to play queen captures on e5. After queen captures on e5, we have bishop to d2, just getting ready for if my bishop ever moves. And I play queen to g3. Queen to g3 with the idea that I'm going to shift this bishop to d6 and then threaten checkmate on h2. And there probably won't be that much defense. If I didn't play queen to g2 and I went for bishop to d6 immediately, which the engine actually prefers, then he can just play something like this, probably f4, and that kind of blocks my attack. So I went for queen to g3, and he played queen to e2. He wants to kind of guard this pawn. I don't exactly know why. Queen to e2 is not the strongest move. Probably better is just bishop to e1, challenging my queen. But I guess finding moves with the bishop backward is kind of difficult. Here I have bishop to d6 as planned. This is the only move that lets me continue for victory. Just threatening checkmate right here. And there's actually only one way to defend this. I mean, you could play something like queen to e5, but why would you play that? And it's f4. And after f4, I noticed that this diagonal was being cut off, so I went for rook to h6, which the engine actually prefers as the best move. But this is with the idea of going here and then putting pressure on this pawn. But I found actually a better move. Well, not a better one, but a probably more active move. That's queen to h3 check. I found this immediately after I played rook to h6, and I was kind of disappointed because the bishop is pinning this pawn, and after something, the only move you can play, king g1. Now my position is a little bit better. This pawn will march all the way down. I don't know. I thought this might have been easier to play. But I went for a rook to h6 with the idea of just bringing it to g6, sorry. And in this position, my opponent played rook to a3, just going after my queen. And I spent a little while thinking about this move. I thought, wow, I was not doing too good. And feel free to pause the video to find the best move for me. It's actually not very hard to find, but I missed it. So for those of you who found it, congratulations. I will show what I played first. I played queen to h4 with the idea that, well, my queen's under attack. I can't use this this is the only square that lets me keep attacking, basically. If I go here, I mean, now my queen's blocking my rook. I can't go here, and I can't stay along this file. So I thought queen to h4 was the only move that made sense. However, in this position, I hope you guys found it. I have bishop captures on a3. I completely missed this move. This is the game is completely over for him, but if I found it, unfortunately, I didn't. This brings us to the meme of the video. Playing a book move, playing the best move, playing a brilliant move, blundering a rook, knowing your opponent thinks you're good, and won't blunder. Yeah, that's basically what happened. That is so genius of him. I mean, I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose, but I gave him way too much credit. But after rook to h6, rook to a3, and queen h4, we have rook to d3. I'm sure he found this move. I actually didn't find this move until I looked at the analysis after. And now I just continued rook to g6 with the idea of capturing here. He plays rook f2. You have to defend it somehow. I go rook c8 with the idea of playing here and pinning this bishop. And he goes b3. b3 is losing, but I mean, probably better is something like just, I don't even know, king g1. But he played b3, and I just continued rook to c2. Rook to c2 with the idea of pinning this bishop, so maybe I can capture this, maybe I can play this in the future, and then I want to shift the rook to deliver check on the first rank. He went bishop to c4, I guess blocking off my rook, and this is a big mistake. The best move for me right now is to play rook b2 or rook a2 to deliver check on the first rank. But I had a different idea. I played bishop captures on f4. And this actually blunders the game instantaneously. So again, for the last time, I think the last time, feel free to pause the video and find the best move for white that actually wins him the game. For those of you who found it, the move is bishop to b4. This is an intermediary move. And now, instead of his queen being under attack, my rook is actually hanging. I'm forced to play king to g8. This is why I was talking so much about king to g8 before, because the second my dark squared bishop moved from this, I was vulnerable. And then after king to g8, he would just capture my rook, and his position is probably slightly better. However, luckily he missed this move, and he went for queen to d1. Sorry, that's not d1. Queen to d1. And this actually results in mate in 4. Feel free to find the mate in 4 right now. I unfortunately didn't, but I will show you. It's queen captures on f2. That is what I played. And then he played queen to g1. The best move for me right here is bishop captures, which would force the queen to capture and capture. However, I went for rook captures in this position. And he went for queen captures. The best move right here was rook to h2 check. And then after here, this is checkmate. But I just captured the queen. I was very low on time, so I captured the queen. He played, this comes with a discovered check. The only move is king to g1. And then here I just played rook c captures on d2. And then after rook captures, it was in this position that my opponent resigned the game. You're down a full bishop, a rook, and 3 pawns. There's no reason to play this. I blundered so many times this game, but I mean, it's still nice to show, because it shows that even if you blunder, it's hard for your opponent to find the best move when you're attacking. So my suggestion to all of you guys is to attack, and if you put enough pressure, it'll be too hard for your opponent to find the best move, especially with low time, and it'll be an easy win. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys tune into the next video.